Yep, we're doing a sequel to this video that I made like 2 years ago. Welcome back to this series where I talk about my headcanon, and this is basically the 18th entry before the finale would be making its debut around July or something. Now, thankfully it doesn't have anything to, yeah, you get the picture from like what I said like 2 years ago. But I will be talking about things that are like, that aren't really suitable for a younger audience watching this channel. Which is specifically why I actually added that warning label around the beginning of the video before the intro. And well, that's basically it for this monologue that I've been doing. And well, yeah, sit back and relax and try to enjoy the video as best as you can, since, well, I'll be talking about these things and whatnot. Anyway, let's get this started, shall we? Number 1. I wanted to retcon on what actually happened at the Kyoto disaster of 1923 due to its complicated nature from what I said around those years ago. And so here's a retelling of what actually happened at the Great Kyoto train wreck of 1923. On the 30th of September 1923, around the station at Kyoto, 2 goods trains were entering into a siding, both of which were being shunted by the ex-Sodor and Mainland Railway 060 goods engines that were formerly a part of the LNWR, which were known as the DX classes. One of the goods trains being shunted into the sidings at Kyoto was set to make a clear path for an oncoming express train that was traveling bound for St. Pancras, in which the express was being pulled by 2 locomotives, a Midland Railway Class 3 and a Midland Railway Class 60, with the 2 locomotives being seen double-heading the service at the time of the accident. Meanwhile, on the opposite side of the station, a non-stop express train was traveling from London's Euston bound for Tidmouth, which was pulled by LNWR Prince of Wales class. And following behind it was an empty fish train that was headed bound for Tidmouth Harbour, which was pulled by a Great Central Railway Class 8F, which had trackage rights to operate across the island of Sodor. The accident soon started when the express passenger train would ram straight into the goods train, which then caused a huge pileup, with some of the wreckage even hitting a regional service that had been operated by the NWR and was pulled by ex-Rosewood and Surrey Railway and or Caledonian Railway Class 30 for the service between Carlisle and Tidmouth. Soon, rescue workers would arrive at the scene, and after a thorough investigation of the accident, a signal past that danger would occur, which claimed the lives of 190 passengers and injured around 212. The tragedy at Kyoto would be far less than that of the deadliest rail accident in Great Britain, that being the Quinton's Hill rail disaster of 1915, where a 5-train pileup had claimed the lives of 226 lives and injured around 246. As of today, a memorial was put in place just outside of the station, remembering the lives that have been lost around this accident and the tragedy itself around the station of Kyoto. Number 2. Porter, in my headcanon, is based on a Great Western Railway 1361 class, a fleet of 060 dockyard shunting engines that was built around the Swindon Works in 1910 for operations across the dockyards of the Great Western Railway and later British Railways. And after the class's withdrawal in the 1960s, only one of them managed to survive into preservation as of today. GWR 1361 class number 1365 was built in 1910 as the last member of the class and was sent over towards the dockyards of Cardiff, where he would become the main shunting engine across the dockyards of Cardiff. For most of his life, he had never really received any names. However, it wasn't until the late 1940s where some people gave him the nickname of Porter due to him having the ability to speak with a Brooklyn accent, despite him operating across the dockyards of Cardiff. But when he was withdrawn in 1962, he was sent over to Old Oak Common for storage, where he would remain there until he was purchased by a private owner for the rest of the 1960s and into the 1970s. But in 1978, he was purchased by the NWR and was repainted into his current livery and soon began his new life on the island, operating across the dockyards at Brandon. He would operate across the dockyards at Brandon, while also being accompanied by a diesel shunter named Salty, as he would be seen shunting around the yards at the Brandon docks area, while also being intact of his Great Western heritage, as he would take pride along his work, doing things that he believes is the way of the Great Western, while his Brooklyn accent would remain intact even when operating across the island, as seen from his former Great Western and British Railways days. But nonetheless, is more humble to his friends more than anyone, especially to the Class 07 that he had operated with since the 1970s, in which when he first arrived on the island to work around the dockyards at Brandon. As of today, he is still operating across the dockyards at Brandon, while also taking hands on doing other duties around the Chanakwe Quarry and outside of Brandon, while also keeping the legacy of the Great Western's 1361 classes alive, alongside another preserved 1361, and he will continue operating across the yards at Brandon for many years to come. Number 3. In 2006, the Northwestern Railway had purchased a fleet of motorway wagons that were formerly operated by the Great Western Railway and would use them on their inaugural motorrail services for the summer. And after the summer season had been over, the motorway wagons would be placed in the storage around the yards of Kildane. However, for the few motorway wagons, they would be used on a special type of service that would operate outside of the Kildane plant, where they would deliver these brand new cars from the plant and put them onto the wagons to be sent over to the mainland towards the car dealerships across the mainland, where they would drop them off and would soon return to the island to repeat the process until the summer services would begin, with the wagons being used across that service. These services would help to supplement the other car carrier services that have been operated across the freight railroads of the mainland that would operate these types of services towards the car dealerships. And these ex-Great Western motorway wagons are no exception to these types of services, as they can be seen across the mainland and even on the island on a few occasions during the winter months. And as of today, these types of wagons are still used across the special service to supplement the car carrier services that have been operated by the freight railroads of the mainland and on the island as stated before. And these ex-Great Western motorway wagons would continue to operate for the Northwestern Railway for many years to come. And this service would live on throughout the winter months and the months prior to the summer for the supplementing of the car carrier services that are heading out towards the distribution plants for many years to come. Number 4. The LSWR S-15s were a fleet of 460 10-wheelers that were built between 1920 and 1936 for operations on goods services across the southern region of British Railways, mainly the LSWR, Southern and later British Railways, where they would operate across that region until the 1960s, where most of them have been scrapped, with a few surviving in the preservation as of today. Southern Railway S-15 number 833 was built in 1927 as a batch of 5 of these S-15s for operations across the Western Division of the Southern Railway on goods and passenger trains along the ex-LSWR's railway system. He would operate for the Southern Railway for many years, even after the amalgamation of 4 different railway companies to form British Railways, as he would continue to operate for that system until his withdrawal in the 1960s. When he was withdrawn from service in 1965 after pulling his final goods train from London towards Basingstoke, he was placed in a storage where he would remain until he was privately purchased by an unknown buyer, before later being revealed to be the Northwestern region of British Railways, in which he would be restored into operating condition to operate across the main line, pulling passengers and goods trains like he had had beforehand while operating across the Southern Railway. During his time in the 1980s, he would tour across Great Britain, pulling road tours across the mainland, while also revisiting his former stomping grounds across the southern region, while making pit stops at different heritage railways, before later returning back to the island to continue his operations there. As of today, number 833 is still operational with us to this very day, having still been operating both passengers and goods trains across the Northwestern Railway, while also being painted in his original Southern Railway colors, as he can still be seen pulling these types of services between Teignmouth and Kirk Ronan, and he will continue to do so for the foreseeable future. Number 5. The North Western Railway has always had a pretty good safety record when it comes to their operations within the island of Sodor, but sometimes accidents do occur within the island, with it either being a minor or a major accident, depending on the circumstances of that said accident. One of the most recent major accidents to ever occur within the island occurred between a section of the main line between Crosby and the field where James crashed at a level crossing where, on the 1st of October 2023, an intercity express train was traveling from Teignmouth bound for London, which was hauled by British Railways Class 800. Meanwhile, across the main line, just near to the crossing on which the accident had occurred, a ballast train was awaiting at a signal to allow the express train to pass, with a 1970s built ballast wagon at the end of this small ballast train. The accident would soon occur when the Class 800 would ram straight into the ballast wagon and would topple off the tracks and derail onto its side, creating a pileup which occurred within the main line itself. After the accident had occurred, the town of Crosby was in a state of panic as rescuers arrived at the scene at the crossing to rescue the people that were injured within the crash, and was soon estimated that 5 people were killed within the crash and 13 were injured. An investigation was launched into the accident and was soon reported that a signal past the danger would occur, likely coming from the old ATC systems that the NWR has been implemented since the 1920s. After a few days of cleanup from the accident that occurred, things will return to normal as usual, with the crossing at Crosby still being intact to this very day. But now, alongside with the crossing, a memorial was put in place to remember those that had died within the accident, and soon, the town of Crosby will never forget the day that the accident would occur within that said crossing. Number 6. The LSWR, or Southern Railway H-15s, were a fleet of 26 460 10-wheelers that were built between 1914 and 1924 and 1925 for operations as mixed traffic units for both the LSWR and the Southern Railway. They would operate the LSWR and or the Southern Railway for many years, until nationalization in 1948, which brought the engines into the southern region of British Railways, where they would see their withdrawals beginning in 1955 and ending in 1961, with the final member being scrapped and none of the class had survived in the preservation as of today. In 1960, a withdrawn H-15 class numbered 30474 was waiting around the scrap lines at the Eastleigh workshops. It was later purchased at the last minute by the Duke of Boxford, who had it in his collection, and the engine would soon be placed in storage within his privately owned yard. And it wasn't until the late 70s to early 1980s where she was later purchased by the North Western Railway, and after some heavy restoration being placed onto her, she would soon return to service on mixed traffic duties around the island. As of today, the engine is still operational with us to this very day, pulling goods trains and passenger trains across the island, alongside 2 other of the ex-LSWR tender engines that have also been operating across the island as well. Although the H-15 can sometimes be seen outside of the island on rail tours across the mainland, especially for the Duke of Boxford's, the engine is still a part of the North Western Railway and will continue to operate for that said company for many years to come. Number 7. The Caledonian Railway Donisteer class, otherwise known as the 721 classes of 1896, were a fleet of 15 440 steam locomotives that were built by the Caledonian Railway for operations on express trains along the main lines that have been operated by that said company. These engines would operate across the Caledonian Railway system until the formation of the LMS in 1923, where they would continue to operate for the LMS until withdrawals would begin around 1931. And by 1958, none of the Donisteer classes would ever survive in the preservation, as the last of them was scrapped during the British Railways era. In 1948, A withdrawn Donny Steer class had somehow ended up within the island of Sodor. It is either unknown on how or why this engine would arrive on the island, but it would likely be assumed that it was escaping from scrap. After some time, it was soon a part of the Northwestern Railway, as it was seen on trial runs across the Brendam branch line on passenger trains between Timoth and Brendam, for later inaugurating a special service which would run between these two towns in 1949. The inaugural special service that the Donny Steer would work on would prove to work spectacularly, as it was given the name of Alice and would be seen operating across that special service for many years to come. But sometimes, the Donny Steer can also operate outside of the Brendam branch line, as she can be seen operating passenger trains along the main line as well as road tours from time to time, with even her venturing outside of the island towards the many heritage railways across the mainland to visit the other engines that have been preserved, as well as her few relatives from the old Caledonian system. As of today, Alice is still seen operating across the island to this very day, as she can still be seen pulling passenger trains along the Brendam branch line as well as the main line, as well as visiting the heritage roads across the mainland from time to time, as she would continue to carry on the legacy of that of the Caledonian Railway 721 classes and or the Donny Steer classes for many generations to come. Number 8. Before the Class 802s would enter into service across the island in late 2019, the Northwestern Railway would purchase a fleet of a few Class 800s, a fleet of IET biomode multiple units that were built between 2014 and 2018 for operations with the train operating companies that they operate with. They would be built in 2016 by Hitachi and would enter into service around the island around mid to late 2018 for operations on the modernized Sudrian service between Timoth and Euston and Timoth to Plymouth, with 9-car units being used to operate that service for the split off at Birmingham for the service between Euston and Plymouth. This would ultimately become a success, and the Class 800s would still be used on the Sudrian service, with even the 5-car sets even being used as a 10-car set for extra capacity during the summer, as the 5-car units would be used on the service between Timoth and Liverpool and Timoth to Glasgow and or Edinburgh, as they would operate these types of services on a non-summer-like basis. As of today, the Northwestern Railway still operates a fleet of Class 800s on a service between Timoth to Euston and or Plymouth via the Sudrian, as well as other services that would operate across the island alongside the 802s. And despite what happened to one of these sets around 2023, these units would continue to operate across the island, as well as the other companies that have also utilized the Class 800s for their services across the mainland. And these Northwestern units will continue to operate for that said railway company for many years to come, alongside the other Class 800s with their respected railway companies. Number 9. When you really think about it, Henry hasn't had any major crashes since 1935, since he was rebuilt into his new shape. However, in 1983, that would explain otherwise, although it was a bit of a minor one than a major one. In the spring of 1983, a rail tour was set to depart from the station of Knapford and would soon take the service bound for Manchester Victoria, where the service would be hauled by a Class 40 to take the road tour all the way up towards the station of York. Henry would be asked to take the service as far as Manchester from Knapford. However, on the date that the road tour is set to depart from Knapford, as Henry was backing down onto the train, his tender would ram straight into the path of a British Railways Mark I carriage, in which this would cause the accommodations to fall onto the floor within the dining car and the passengers to be jolted onto its side on when the impact occurred within the carriage. After the accident, Henry was removed from that said rail tour and was soon sent to the works. And soon, a Class 37 went out to take care of the service, as none of the coaches were damaged in the accident. And soon, the Class 37 would depart from Knapford. It would soon headed bound towards Manchester, Victoria, where the transfer had occurred, and soon, the Class 40 would have to take the road tour while making up for the lost time that it had due to the accident at Knapford, and soon arrived at York around 30 minutes late. After that whole ordeal, the Class 40 and the Class 37 would soon resume their operations with British Railways. Meanwhile, back on the island, after Henry was released from the works and a bit of a scolding from the Fat Controller, he was taken to Timmer's sheds via a Class 47 and would soon be placed there for a final inspection before resuming in the service. As of today, Henry's still operational with us to this very day, albeit he doesn't want to be reminded on the accident that occurred during the spring of 1983. And finally, number 10. Put Upon Percy, a classic series episode, takes place in my headcanon in 1984, where Percy was tasked to shunt trains across a colliery plant within Olstead that is owned by the National Coal Board. It used to be owned by the Olstead Mining Company before being acquired by the NCB in 1946. However, many years later in 1984, after Percy has done all of his jobs across the island, he was asked to go to the mining company to fill in for one of the engines that had unfortunately failed earlier this morning. Soon, the foreman came and would ask Percy to shunt some trucks that are heading inside the mines due to a cable system being damaged. However, in doing so, Percy would accidentally bump into the trucks and broke the chain, which led into the trucks to go inside of the cave while going over the speed limit of the cable system, for ending up derailing and crashing into a pillar, which causes the mine to eventually collapse. And soon, disaster would strike when the alarm went off, and as Percy knew it, a workman came up and warned everyone that the mines were collapsing. And soon, a dust explosion would occur within and outside of the mines, which soon caused an avalanche and to Percy to evacuate from the mines, as well as the workmen that had been working outside of the colliery, as the tracks began to be buried within the depths of the landslide that had been occurring, while Percy was seen escaping from the colliery while also trying to find a safe place to avoid the landslide from burying him, as well as his crewmen that had been operating him. However, he would stop within a point of a canvas barrier that would protect him from taking damage from the rock slide. However, this wouldn't prevent him from being buried within the rubble of a collapsing mine. Once the destruction was over, the foreman had initiated a cleanup within the mines, and soon Percy was rescued by that said workman that have helped clean up the mines, and he would soon be taken to the works after that said event, where he would return to service with the NWR just several weeks later. As for the mine, however, it was eventually closed up after cleanup work had been completed and was soon abandoned. And after a thorough investigation of the incident itself, it was revealed that it was due to neglect, which claimed the lives of just 75 people that were working inside of the mines and 25 others that were working outside of those mines, while the rest managed to survive with injuries or none at all. The NCB would soon have to face the backlash by the general public after the accident. And once cleanup was done, a memorial was placed on the former site of the coal mines to remember those that have unfortunately passed away within the forefront of a collapsing mine and an avalanche filled with coal. Despite this, the memories of the Olstead Colliery, as well as its subsequent owners throughout its history, the legacy and memorialization of the events that occur within the colliery can be found at the Olstead Mining Museum within the town of Olstead for many people to see and memorialize about its tragic end in the 1980s. Well, that's basically it for this video. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this 18th entry of this series, and I feel like that we're almost there to the final entry of this series that I'll be doing around July. It's just that I got some other videos I need to do to fill out the time that I needed before I can do like the final entry of this series and whatnot. especially when it comes to the month of June and its anniversary date of a certain blue hedgehog. Now, I will say that after the 19th entry of this series, aka the finale, it's basically unknown on which type of videos that I will do now, especially when it comes to the fact that I'm still doing commentary videos since like last year. But we'll just have to wait and see. And with all that said and done, I guess it's time that I'll just end off the video right here. So, I'll be seeing you guys around July, aka the month where I'll be posting the 19th entry of my AL Rambling series or whatever, aka the finale. And I will see you guys soon. Bye bye.